Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I am worn out. For the first time, normally I walk for about an hour a day. I decided I was going to up my game. I walked for 2 hours yesterday, and that extra hour it was like, whoa, now we're waking up here. All right, check this out. David Schwartz. Today's the first day for Ripple's new San Francisco global headquarters. Check it out. It's the global headquarters. I don't think that right there, I think that would hurt after a while sitting on those. It might look nice and look cool, but I don't think I'd want to sit on that. I'd want to sit on this maybe. Okay. And then this is a cool, I like this. Pretty neat. All right. We had, this is worthy of note right here. Warren Buffett, they don't call it insider trading when Warren Buffett has the inside track to the federal government and knows when to go to cash. That's completely okay as long as he's doing it. For the rest of us, that would be about as insider gets. I've told the story of him during the financial crisis when he got to get on the phone with the Treasury Secretary so that he could get a sweetheart deal to bail out Goldman Sachs and get preferred stock with the government backing up his investment. But that's okay because it was an emergency. You can do anything you want. Remember, Rahm Emanuel. Never let a crisis go to waste because you can do things that you couldn't do before that you wanted to do. Right? I'm sure Warren wanted to be cozied up to the government as he made an investment and have their backing. Great emergency. Here's this is Jeremy Allaire from Circle. He was on CNBC this morning.
And so when you see,
beauty.
The beauty.
That's one way of putting it.
To the extent that we should be looking at Bitcoin as a barometer of risk on, risk off, if you think of it as a speculative asset, I don't know what you think of it as anymore, but we show it on the screen every single day because there's a lot of ownership of it around the world. There's a lot of interest in it around the world. What do you think it's an indicator of?
Sure. So a couple things. So the first is digital commodities are here to stay. And that's just, we have this new thing, digital commodities, they're here to stay. And they will be valued differently. Gold is differently valued than oil, is differently valued than copper, right? So there will be these digital commodities. Bitcoin specifically is the sort of largest digital commodity asset. Right. And I think in the minds of many of the people who are investing in it, this is a risk hedge asset. It can be correlated to availability of money supply, but it also can be uncorrelated. So it doesn't fit every box clearly. And I think you're hearing from sovereigns, from the Ray Dalios of the world, the Larry Finks of the world, others that they believe that in a complex geopolitical environment, a complex macroeconomic environment, this is an asset that one should have some exposure.
But we should not think of it as a currency.
I
mean,
certainly
by the way,
do not.
you're more in the currency camp in terms of what you do.
Correct, yes. So digital dollars that can be a strong store of value medium of exchange that have all the powers of the internet. That's what dollar stablecoins do. Huge innovation. I expect to be explosive in terms of its growth in the coming years. Just a huge utility for dollars on the internet, huge appetite for dollars on the internet. That's a very big thing. And that's distinct from people who want a currency hedge, so to speak, or a store of value hedge against the world going to hell.
Okay, then I wanted to show you this one. This is the CFTC chairman.
Said one of the big problems they're still facing is this turf war to figure out how digital assets are going to be policed. Yeah. It does not feel to me like much progress has been made on that front. It's crazy how long this has taken to figure out.
Yeah, I mean, it's taken a bit longer than I would hope. We've talked about this on several occasions over the past couple of years. And I think members in Congress are trying to figure out the landscape. We have a lot of regulators in the U.S., both on the market side and the banking side. But ultimately, I've said this for a while, there is a gap in regulation, and Congress is going to have to step in and really overcome this feeling of not wanting to legitimize the technology and seeing this as not something that's tenable or sustainable. I think
it's here.
It's here. It hasn't gone away, and we're seeing it with the price of some of the bigger coins. And there are issues around regulation in terms of customer fraud and manipulation, but then some of this illicit activity and terrorist organization use, I think, should be really concerning for members of Congress and all of us as Americans, quite frankly.
I mean, that seems like an easy bipartisan fix, but just knowing how politics works, you're probably not likely to get a clean bipartisan issue with that without weighing into the areas where there is a bunch of argument back and forth.
I kind of view this as like a three-legged stool. You have the AML KYC issues, which is really around the illicit activity and the terrorist financing. You have the stablecoin issues, which I'm sure Circle and Jeremy were speaking to you about. And then you have the market structure issues, which is very important to me as a market regulator. And I think a lot of momentum has been around the AML KYC because of some of this information.
Back that up, around the what?
The anti-money laundering and know your customer.
Thank you. Okay.
So, and that really goes to the heart of some of the issues that we've elevated at the CFTC around Binance and things that they were doing. But a lot of members are very focused on that. I'm very focused on markets. There's a lot of focus on stablecoins.
What do you see as the distinction between the way you think about crypto and the way Gary Gensler thinks about crypto?
Well, you know, we have the products trading on our markets, and I think really, and we've talked about this in the past, it's a matter of what is the investor, what is the buyer of the tokens getting with its purchase of a token, whether it's Bitcoin, ETH, or anything else. And, you know, I've said this very clearly, I've said it many times, I stick to what we have as the legal precedent and what we're seeing on our markets. And, you know, under existing law, many of the tokens constitute commodities. And under this rubric, there is a gap in regulation, and I need Congress to step in. And the fact of the matter is, we've literally been talking about this for years, and we still don't have a regulated environment or a regulated entity.
It's crazy.
But like when you guys get in a room together, is it like a brawl, or is it like we completely agree and we're totally simpatico and it's all cool?
Look, I'll use this stage to just dispel any of that rumor or any of that myth. We get along quite well. We have.
Well, not only do they get along, folks, they were both, the CFTC and the SEC were in the room during ETHgate. They were both involved. We've shown the video on that. They were also both involved with meeting with Sam Bankman-Fried. Okay, they were both meeting with Sam Bankman-Fried, both of those organizations, as well as the White House and Congress.
Shared values and shared interests in protecting markets, protecting the U.S. financial ecosystem, and then ultimately protecting customers.
I find it interesting.
It really is figuring out how existing decades-old law fits within this new technology that seems to be changing and ultimately needs a new way of thinking around policy and legislation.
What I find interesting about this guy is he'll go out of his way to, or not out of his way, but he'll acknowledge that that Ethereum is a commodity. But you've never heard him come out and say that XRP is a commodity. You've never heard him say, well, XRP has a legal case where they're not a security. You've never heard him say that. I find that curious. Then we've got this. Bitcoin, this is Senator Elizabeth Warren. She introduced her bill to crack down on the Bitcoin and crypto industry. I think the crypto industry in general. Let's show you, this is the most important thing. This guy had a thread on it. He said specifically the bill calls for dramatically expanding the Bank Secrecy Act to cover open source software, including non-custodial wallets, miners, and validating nodes. And he goes on, as non-custodial and decentralized software cannot plausibly perform centralized compliance functions, Warren's bill would effectively outlaw crypto in America. Well, that's the bad news, folks. Here's the good news. Elizabeth Warren has never had a bill passed, I don't think, in the history of her time in Congress. She sponsored 36 bills in the 118th Congress, 103 in the 117th, 98 in the 116th, 80 in the 115th, 27 in the 114th. She is a, however many times that is, loser. And that is why she's best buddies with Gary Gensler. You got two losers that hang out together while all of the United States of America is against them. Speaking of losers, don't misunderstand this. Brian Costello is not a loser. He's pointing out that these same two losers are that Elizabeth Warren is knowingly letting Gary Gensler bury Chinese executive frauds. So Elizabeth Warren, the two losers, her and Gary Gensler, are protecting Chinese criminality in our markets while they go after American companies and whatnot, American crypto, leaving the door open for China to dominate, right? Oh, and by the way, her salary is $285,000, but she's somehow achieved a net worth of $67 million. And I don't see anybody putting a microphone in her face and asking her these types of things. How did you get so wealthy? Well, we know why. This is part of the corruption and the sickness of our country. We know exactly why. Now, I'm about to go into the private group, and I haven't done this before, but I'm going to do it today. I'm going to tell the group members something that I have been personally accumulating. And as you know, I'm not a financial advisor, but I've been accumulating something, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why I think it probably, in my opinion, is going to be one of my greatest crypto plays going into 2024. And I'm going to tell you all about it. Now, if you think that what I say looks interesting, then what you need to do is go talk to your financial advisor, because I'm not one. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. It's DAIXRP.com. That's where my member group is. And here we go.